So he's an Ayurvedic doctor, international lecturer, founder of the Vida Veda Institute, the largest Portuguese language Ayurvedic platform. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Um, and he's got a BA degree from India, completed his clinical residency in Vaidya, which is an amazing place, very amazing. Um, and, has obviously been lecturing, wrote a book called The Four Pillars of Health, and is, coming to Salt Spring Island, if you're from BC, to do a retreat. So we've had information on the AAC platform about the retreat. If you haven't seen it, please go in and have a look at it. If you're interested, I don't know if you can still get in, but I think you can. And I'm finished. I'll let you go, Matheus.
Thank you
And
so
I'll
much. Well,
go ahead. I'll just turn my camera on.
okay, thank you for the introduction. So I'm from Brazil originally, and I'm the first Brazilian to finish BAMS, which is the graduation in Ayurveda here in India. I did my graduation in a city called Jamnagar in an institute called ITRA, which is considered probably the top or top three Ayurvedic universities, institutes in India. And right now I'm in India again. I'm doing my master's in clinical residency here, and I'm specializing in Shalakya Tantra, which is the everything that is above the clavicles, so basically the head. I work at a hospital. I'm staying for 3 years here to do this master's degree. And then after this, I'm probably gonna apply for my PhD in Ayurveda also, just so you guys understand that I'm like fully in this. I live this. This is my life. We have students in Vida Veda in about 50 countries, and I travel the world to teach Ayurveda and to maybe give a little bit of what I got from my teachers and my gurus. And I keep getting from this beautiful country. It's not out of nowhere that we call it Mother India, no, because she's like constantly giving. And I have this pleasure and privilege to live in India, and I've been like experiencing this country, the culture, the religiousness, the spirituality since 2000 and I can say 2013, but actually I lived in Nepal like in 2005. So like 21 years ago also, I lived in an ashram in Nepal and I had a guru there that was the first person that introduced me to Vedic knowledge and to Sanskrit language. Everything that I do nowadays is in Portuguese language. So this is a very, like, it's an honor to be here speaking English to you guys. It's not my mother tongue. So if I make some mistakes, please forgive me. I do speak English all day here, but we speak like English, no? So it's like a kind of a mix. So if I shake my head a little bit and if I say like some weird words now and then, it just comes with the territory. So I made like a lecture, and for people that know me, I can see like a few faces that have like there are my students from like our Ayurveda therapist course and from other projects that we have. You guys are used to me already, but for you guys that are not, we are very geeky in our school. So we love like classical texts, like Sanskrit stuff, and like reading and studying Ayurveda in the like source material. And whenever somebody asks me to produce like a class or to make content like a PPT presentation, I freaking love these things. So I made like a super geeky presentation on Agni for you guys, and I'm gonna share my screen and get to it now. Um, Hopefully I'm able to do this in an hour, under an hour. I'm not really well known for being succinct and explaining things very quickly. So usually I take my time and it's usually a long time. My courses are like weekend long, sometimes a week long. So like an hour to talk about Agni is a huge challenge. But anyways, I made this presentation. I'm gonna send it to the association. So if you guys want, you can get it from it in case I'm not able to finish, or if it's a little confusing because we're diving deep now. So you guys just get ready. Get your like your hats on, like swimming suits and all of that because we're going in the deep end. So I'm going to talk to you about fire, this idea of the fire of transformation that we call Agni. So this matters in the day that we live in right now because modern life just amplifies the challenges that usually Agni encounters. So we are super stressful, our meals are completely irregular, we are eating junk food, there's a bunch of screen time. Maybe not you, because you're already like kind of Ayurvedic, no, you have your practices, but you know somebody. Now you know somebody that is using the screen a little bit too much, that's eating a little bit of like some junk food or food that they don't really know if it's food or not, what are the ingredients. So you know someone that knows someone, I'm pretty sure. So in Ayurveda, Agni is the gateway, basically. Like it's what takes our food, it turns food into tissues and turns tissues into vitality, happiness, joy, energy. So in order for you to just have a good life, wake up in the morning and feel energetic, your Agni has to be working. So when Agni is steady, what you feel is clear hunger cues. You feel the digestion operating comfortably, you feel stable energy, you have a good sound sleep, and your mood is basically resilient. That is Agni working properly. When it doesn't work properly, you feel heaviness, you feel bloating, you feel esophageal reflux, you feel constipated or lose stools, you feel fatigue, constant brain fog, and like patterns that we nowadays call inflammation. It's very common to say now inflammatory something, how to go against the inflammation, anti-inflammatory diets and things like that are very trendy. We've been talking about this for thousands and thousands of years. So today's outcome for this class will be like I want to define Agni clearly to you. I want you to leave this chat having a very sound idea of what I mean when I use the word Agni, and I use it deliberately in Sanskrit. So like I don't have to confuse you with the concept of fire because fire means different things for different people, and I don't want you to leave confused. I'm going to talk to you also about the 13 types of Agnis and why they are amazing, like how they thought about these things thousands of years ago, and they make so much sense in the world we live today. I'm going to talk about the doshas also. I'm like coming to this conversation thinking that you guys are into the Ayurveda Association of Canada. You've studied Ayurveda a little bit. If you haven't and you haven't heard about the doshas or you have a misconception of the doshas, it will be very clear today that you don't quite understand what they are. And maybe this will open a door for you to maybe go deeper into this concept. I want you to be able to recognize common Agni disorders and apply practical diet, lifestyle, and even herbal strategies for the geeks among us that love like plants and how to use medicinal plants. I am realizing now that that I lost my mind when I produced this, and I was thinking that I was going to teach you this in like under an hour, but let's do it. And before we start, usually in the beginning of my classes, I do this even when it's not Agni classes, mind you, but I usually invite my students to like metaphorically sit around a fire. Because I think this is how we always transmitted knowledge as humans. We love like sitting around like a campfire, and then somebody will take like the chance to speak, and they maybe will tell a story, or they will, like tell like mythology, or like impart knowledge onto others. This is how we evolved as humans. So I always invite my students in the beginning of my classes just kind of sit around the fire because I'm about to tell you a story. Before we start, let me tell you the story of Agni, basically. There's many stories of Agni, but the one that I want to bring today, it's a very ancient story from one of the ancient books we have in the Puranas, these books that tell stories, tell Vedic stories. So it says that once, like, there was this bright, helpful god named Agni. Agni means literally fire. He was not the only flame, and it was not only like a flame in your house, no, but he was like the sacred fire of ceremony, the one who carried the offerings, the messenger between humans and the divine. He was the mouth of the gods, like the one who helped everything reach its right place. And Agni loved his work. He loved to glow, he loved to transform. But the stories say something very surprising. Even Agni, sometimes he got afraid. This book, it's called the Shatapatha Brahmana. So this book, this weird name, tells that a long time ago, there were even fires before this Agni that we're talking about. Each one of them, one after the other, passed away. They came, they were the god of fire, and then their time went out, and then another fire came and replaced them somehow. And our Agni from this story, seeing this, that he was not the first Agni, he's not going to last forever, he started feeling very scared. And so instead of standing on the altar, instead of doing his thing, he did something no one expected. He concealed himself. He decided to hide himself, and he chose a very crazy place to hide if you are the god of fire. He decided to hide in the ocean. He went inside the waters and he hid there. So imagine this, like fire hiding inside water, like quiet, unseen, tucked away, where nobody would even think to look. And then the world felt completely different. Without Agni, the sacred fire cannot be found. So the gods cannot do what the gods usually do. The messenger was missing. The bright pathway between the worlds of the humans and the gods was dim, like a night without a lamp. Everything was still there. Sky was there, wind, water, earth, but the power that turns things into something new was not shining. So the gods were very scared also, and they went searching. They looked and looked. They discovered finally where Agni had gone. He was down in the waters hiding. And then they found him. They drew him back out, and then they put him back in his place as the fourth fire, the fourth of his legacy. The moment Agni returned, it was as if the world remembered how to function again. The sacred fire could be lit, the offerings could be carried, and the work of transformation could continue. And that's why people still tell this story, because sometimes when life becomes too heavy or when you become too frightened, even something bright inside us maybe wants to hide. They want to quietly go underwater. And sometimes that brings it back. But sometimes you can bring it back, but not with force. Agni has to be found, and Agni has to be honored. It has to be given its rightful place so it can shine again. And I take this moment in the beginning of our class to kind of ask you, do you feel this like inner fire right now? And if so, where is it strongest in you? Where does it feel like it might be hiding also? It's interesting because traditionally we use the idea of water, the ocean. The waters are our emotions. So it's allegorical that fire hid underwater. Like when the person got afraid, like Agni was scared, and then he hid underwater. He was under his emotions, and then he cannot perform. So if you're overwhelmed with emotions, and among them maybe fear, it's very hard for you to manifest this brightness. That is part of all of us somehow. So that being said, that's our fire story for today. What is Agni then? So, Agni is the principle of digestion, of metabolism, of transformation. I like to tell my students that Agni is that which transform what you are not into what you are. Whenever you take a piece of food, I usually say broccoli, a piece of broccoli, and then you chew on that broccoli and you swallow that broccoli, it's still broccoli. In your mouth, it's still broccoli. In your stomach, it's still broccoli. And there will be a moment there where it will stop being broccoli and you will start calling it you. It's your tissues, it's your muscles, it's your fat. So, this transformation of broccoli, which is not you, into you, that's Agni. That transformation is only possible due to Agni. Not only like stomach, acid, enzymes, It includes the breakdown, the absorption, the assimilation, the cellular metabolism, and also tissue building. Agni is closely related to the fire principle we call tejas in Sanskrit, and functional intelligence of Pitta dosha specifically. Agni is not Pitta, but they have a very close relationship for sure. It's the body's power to turn experiences into nourishment. What does it govern then? If you want to see like a big picture, this whole list, your appetite, your taste clarity, your digestion and elimination, your nutrient assimilation, like building dhatus. The word dhatu means tissues, body tissues, your energy, your stamina, your immunity and resilience via what we call ojas, which is this base of energy and immunity. It governs your mental clarity. When digestion is clean, the mind is clearer. And it governs your inflammation patterns also, if I want to translate the language like from ancient Sanskrit Ayurveda into the modern parlor. So it's like too sharp versus too weak versus irregular. I'm going to go into it a little bit more in detail. So, overview of the 13 Agnis, because Agni is not just one phenomena, it's actually 13 things. There's the first one we call Jatharagni. You don't need the words. If you're not that into Sanskrit and old texts, it's fine. It works the same if you don't know the names. Basically, this is your central digestive fire. Think about it as if it's your GI tract, your gastrointestinal tract. So whenever you put food inside your mouth, you chew, you swallow, that's Jatharagni that is going to act on the food and transform it into your muscles and your tissues. Then we have Bhutagni, we call it. And there's five of those. One for each one of the main elements of nature. In Ayurveda, we divide the whole world, all the substances, they are made of five elements. And I'm going to go into this a little bit more soon. And then we have Dhatwagni. They are seven, which is one Agni for each dhatu, for each tissue you have in your body. This is just an overview. I'm going to go into detail now. I just want you to understand that digestion isn't one fire. It's not like one process. It's a cascade of transformation that goes from your gut to the elements to your tissues. So all these three aspects must be understood if you want to have a clear idea of what is this fire of transformation applied in our bodies. So the main one is called Jatharagni, as I said, is think about your GI tract and you'll get it. It's located primarily in the stomach, small intestines. We look at it like functionally, we call it amashaya. So it's where the food is still not digested. It's responsible for digesting basically four types of food. In Ayurveda, we say there's four types. There's food that is biteable, that you're going to use your teeth to bite it. There's food that's chewable. You have to grind on the food. Some food is lickable. You have to use your tongue. And some food is swallowable or drinkable. You just put it in your mouth and you swallow it. It's interesting because we categorize it in this level of detail. And this is not because of superstition or something. It's very scientific. Each type of food is digested in a specific way, and it must be eaten according to its type. So if you're eating something that should be chewed, you have to chew on it. I know it sounds obvious, but sometimes for us it's not. A lot of people, they swallow things that are supposed to be chewed because they're on their phone, they're distracted talking to people, watching TV, and they just swallow something that they actually should chew on. What are the outputs? Like when this Agni is working properly, you have first the formation of what we call ahararas. Ahararas is the first proto tissue. It's what happens before you start actually building tissue. It's when the food starts being transformed. It's not food anymore, but it's still not tissue. And it also regulates our mala. Mala is our wastes. So whatever you consume from the food and becomes tissue goes to one side. We call it prasad. And whatever you don't need and your body can throw out, it's called mala. So your stool, urine, your sweat, among others. And then the second type of Agni, there are five, is the Bhutagni. Bhutta Agni. So it comes from the Pancha Mahabhuta, the five elements that govern like every substance that exists. Each acts on this elemental portion, its specific elemental portion. So Parthiva Agni is the Agni that acts on the solid structures, the earth element. Apya Agni is the Agni that acts on the watery, fluid, and it deals with cohesion of matter. Agneya, it's Agni itself that acts on the things that are more heat. Sometimes people translate this as like enzymatic power, but it's elements of nature that are governed basically by this fire principle. Vayavya Agni, it's the power of digestion of movement and even gas substances. In Akashya, Agni is that which governs space and the openness in channels, we like to say. Sometimes people think that this is very, I don't know, like spiritual, energetic, and I don't think it like that. I like to think of Bhutagni as the same basic elements of the periodic table. I don't know if I'm going to give anyone like trauma, like thinking about school and the chemistry classes and things like that, but that's how I like to think. Modern science divides the elements in nature into 100 and something elements, but they also group these elements into families. And some of these families are very easily correlated to Panchmahabhutas, actually. So after digestion, your nutrition has to be translated into these elements that the body is going to actually use. So it's like iron or oxygen or whatever, the elements that you studied in chemistry. So if you look at a periodic table of elements, you will see like they are color coded exactly because like there is a family here that is a bunch of air. It's the halogens or also the noble gases, we call them. This is what in Ayurveda maybe we're looking at Vayu. And if you have like the Vayavya Agni, it's digesting these elements more or less. There are like metals. The metals are more related maybe to earth. So just think that we're designing this model thousands of years ago before Linus Pauling and all these people came up with the concepts that we use nowadays. But they were just like the same kind of understanding. We look at the world and understanding that all the elements are composed by the same base molecules, sometimes with more predominance of one or more predominance of the other. What your Bhutagni does is digest the elements. Whenever you eat something that has copper in it or it has calcium in it, now some of you might be concerned about your calcium consumption because I want stronger bones or something like that. And then you're thinking, is there calcium in this? Or, what should I eat to have my calcium or magnesium or my potassium? You need Bhutagni because who is going to digest the potassium, the calcium, the magnesium in our perception in Ayurveda is exactly this fire. Dhatwagni is the digestive power of your tissues specifically. If you have muscle tissue and if you have fat tissue, they operate differently. That's why they become different things. In modern parlor, you will think this is the differentiation of the cells. Like, how does your cell know that it has to become a muscle, or it will become liver cells, or it will become pancreatic cells? It knows this because it has like a specific intelligence ingrained in it. In Ayurveda, we call this intelligence Dhatwagni. It's the energy or the principle that will process food and turn it into specific Agnis. We have 7 that are listed in Ayurveda. Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Medha, Asti, Majin, Shukra. I added some common translations to this words. I don't like any of them because usually when you translate concepts from Sanskrit to English or Portuguese, you lose a lot of value. Sanskrit is a very rich, deep language. So usually when you call mamsa muscle, you lose something in the middle on the way. So I prefer to use the original terminology. I am Brazilian. My mother tongue is Portuguese. I wasn't raised speaking Hindi or Gujarati or Sanskrit, and I came to learn this. So if I was able to learn it, I'm sure you are also, if you want, if you have this desire. You can have an okay digestion, but weak tissue metabolism. So this is very interesting if you think about this 3 Agnis concept. Like maybe your Jataragni, the main digestive tract Agni, can be good, but still, because your Dhatu Agni is not working properly, you will feel you're digesting well, but you're not producing tissue well enough. A lot of you suffer from this problem. You think, I don't have any digestive problem, but like I cannot make muscle. And then in Ayurveda, we are going to look at your Mamsa Dhatu Agni. So there is something with the metabolism of muscle that is not working properly. And we have been studying this for thousands and thousands of years, or how to impact specifically those dhatus, those tissues. And we're able to do it. And then you have four functional states of Agni. So this is how Agni is behaving at the moment. Um, this is probably one of the most important things you're going to learn today. To be able to observe if your Agni is Sama. Sama means balanced. You have a steady appetite, digestion is comfortable. After meals, you feel light. You go to the bathroom and eliminate regularly. These are all signs that your digestive process is happening in a balanced state. There's one balanced state for three imbalanced states. The first is Manda Agni. Manda Agni, Manda, the word means slow. So it's when your digestive power is not up to speed. You will feel low appetite, heaviness. After meals, you feel drowsy and sleepy. You create a lot of mucus. Sometimes you feel extra salivation. And there are signs of that I'm going to explain in a little bit what it means. And also, you feel your bowels a little bit slow, like they don't move. You eat, but like they are a little bit lazy in a sense. Then there's Tikshnagni. Tikshnagni, Tikshna means intense, sharp. And then you feel strong hunger, sometimes too much actually hunger. Maybe you're feeling even burning or reflux, maybe irritability. Loose stools and loose bowel can be common in this aspect, and excess heat and even inflammatory process can be a part of this. A lot of people in our culture nowadays, they think that a lot is always better. No, like I want to excel in, or I want to have improve my or boost. No, I want to boost my agni, my digestion. And in Ayurveda, boosting is not always a good thing. Sometimes when you're boosting, you're also creating imbalance. We don't like things necessarily to be the most, the best, the biggest, the stronger, the fastest. We like things to be in balance. What is your best? What is the best level for you at this moment in your life, in the reality that you are living? So we have to like calm down on the internet, pushing us to always excel, be the best at whatever, like what is it, the influencers are teaching always, like how can you, do read more in less time. It's always about speed nowadays, no? So Tikshnagni, I have to tell you, is not a great thing. A lot of people have the misconception that this is the ideal Agni. I want to have a Tikshnagni so I can digest everything. This creates problems also, and I will explain to you how. And then the fourth state, we call it Vishamagni. It's the Agni that is Vishama. It's irregular. You cannot rely on it very much. You have alternating appetite. Sometimes you feel like a lot of hunger, but sometimes you don't feel anything. You feel some like a little bit gassy, bloating. Stools are variable, sometimes loose, sometimes they are too harsh, and stress linked digestion. So you're feeling a little bit off and your digestion goes out of the window. That's very common with some people. No, you're feeling a little bit more stressed out with work, and then forget about it. You're gonna eat anything, and you'll like bloat, become like a little balloon. So these four states are very important because if you get awareness of how you are and you all occupy all four throughout your life, it's not like you are samagni or you are mandagni. It's not like that. You're gonna have like experience samagni and mandagni and tikshnagni and vishamagni throughout your life. The awareness, understanding that you are experiencing slower fire should make you react or adapt specifically to how you are. I'm not going to tell you, you have to understand this. By the end of this class, you will not know how to eat for your dosha. Like I don't believe in this thing, like that you should eat for your vata or your pitta or your kapha. Like you won't hear these words from me, but you should learn how to eat for your agni. And Agni, this fire, will change throughout your life, throughout the day, throughout the night. If you are more stressed, if you are scared, as like the god Agni was in our little story earlier. So I want to comment on the doshas, but I don't want you to get attached to the idea that you're gonna eat for your dosha. That's not what I'm going to tell you now, but I'm already like caveating this beforehand because everyone is addicted to, I am pitta, what should I eat? And I'm like, that's not what Ayurveda teaches at all. So you do have dosha predominant phases in your digestion. When you just eat food, the early stage of digestion is a kapha stage of digestion. The beginning of digestion is kaphaj, we say. It's influenced by kapha dosha. That stage will moisten the food, will lubricate the food, will protect your mucosa, your inner lining, and prepare the food bolus by softening and creating some stability in this food bolus that will undergo digestion. After the kapha phase, you will move into a pitta phase, the middle of digestion. This is the phase where Agni is acting even more strong. So it breaks down your food. It's the action of the enzymes and the acids and the bile. It's when you cook and you transform effectively. It's what sometimes we call primary digestion. And then it moves into the third and last phase, which you call a vata phase. It's the end of digestion. It's the movement towards the large intestines and out of the body. It's when we do a lot of our absorption, separation, propulsion, elimination, according to the Samhitas, the old Ayurvedic texts. So, in the digestion, now in detail, let me tell you a little bit about the doshas also, because doshas are not just vata, pitta, and kapha. The vata, pitta, and kapha also each will act in five different ways. It's almost like they will have five different karmas, we say, five different roles they play. The same way me, like Matthew, I'm the teacher right now, but tomorrow morning I'm going to be at the hospital, I'm going to be a doctor. If I'm talking to my mother, I'm her baby, I'm the son. If I'm talking to my friend, I'm his buddy. So I cannot be the doctor of my friend when I'm doing the friend thing or be the teacher of my mom. So I have different roles. The same way the doshas, they also have kind of different roles. And each of them has five roles, which gives them 15 roles they have to develop in the body. And a lot of these roles are related to the digestive process. So in the case of Kapha, we have one role that he plays. We call it Kledaka. Kledak means that he will moisten. So he's moistening and softening the food basically in the stomach. It protects the lining of the stomach also. Pitta has a role in digestion. We call it Pachak Pitta. So it's the main digestive metabolic action that happens specifically in the transition between the stomach and the small intestines. And then Vata has many, many different roles in digestion. There's one role he receives the name of pranavayu. It's what allows you to swallow, among other things. Then he develops another role called samanavayu. He's the one that mixes, creates peristalsis, moves the food around, kindles the digestion. If you can think of a fire in your mind, in the beginning, when you're trying to build a fire, what can you do to kindle the fire? You can blow on it, right? Have you seen this already? Like if you're trying to kindle fire, you can go, and by blowing the right amount of air, fire can become stronger. If you blow too much, you can also impair your Agni. You can destroy that fire. But if you blow enough, like in the right proportion, then you make the Agni even stronger. That is the role of Vata, specifically this Samana. Like in this role, he's called Samana. Then we have another Vata called Vyana. He's responsible for distribution. He's gonna make this food and whatever you're eating to just go all over the body and reach all your tissues. And then there's Apana. From five, four of them have important roles in the digestive process. Apana is what pushes everything out of your body through below. So it's responsible for elimination. When you pee or when you poo, this is the vata that is pushing things for downward movement outside of your body. So these are doshas in detail. Maybe a little bit too geeky. I hope I didn't lose you, but I'm going to continue so you can take a breather. What happens when the Agni fails then? Then we create something we call Am. Am is the undigested residue. So whenever you take the broccoli that I spoke before and then you chew on it and you swallow it, but you don't digest it, it doesn't become you. Instead of becoming my muscles or my skin or my fat, it's still kind of broccoli. It's not broccoli anymore, but it's also not me. So it's like a middle thing that creates a lot of suffering for us. And we gave him a name, in Sanskrit. The word just means uncooked, raw. So it's something that we consider in Ayurveda as if it's like a poison because your body doesn't know what to do with it. So it just stays there and it creates a bunch of problems for your body. So the feeling of heaviness when you stick your tongue out and it's coated white, when you feel a kind of sluggish, or when you have gas but it's very foul smelling, if you have like a lot of joint stiffness or even brain fog, those are all signs of this, of like you're not digesting properly. So these toxins, so to speak, they will go around your body and creates all sorts of problems. The classical logic is weak Agni leads to Ama. Ama creates obstructions in your channels. We call them shrotas. And this creates all sorts of problems, such as inflammation and the disease pathway. So it's the beginning of a lot of diseases. Then, what can we understand from all of this then? If I want to do a few parallels between Ayurveda and even modern disease, there's very common Agni-related conditions. I usually say that like 80% of the patients that I see in the clinic, they have some Ama problem actually. They have an Agni disease. In modern medicine, sometimes we look at it and we don't think it's all related to digestion. But in Ayurveda, the digestion is like probably the cause of at least like 80% of the things that you will see. If you are a health professional in your clinic, it will be around that. So, for instance, there is something we call Agni Mandya. Manda is slow, no? We also call it Ajirna. It's indigestion. So the baseline is your Agni is not working properly, you don't digest the food properly, so you create a bunch of So you feel bloated, you feel heaviness, you feel nauseated, you feel fatigue after the meals. I mentioned this already, but we have like this name, Agnimandia or Ajirna for this. It's a base disease for the development of many other more complex diseases. There is a disease called amlapitta. Amlapitta is like reflux or hyperacidity. Some people in the clinic, I work at a public hospital, no, in India, a public Ayurvedic hospital in India, mind you. So a patient will come and then I'm asking like, what is the problem? How can I help you? And they will say, I'm feeling a lot of acidity. Like in Portuguese, we have this word for this uneasiness that acidity creates, no? The sour belching, this burning sensation, even irritability, and sometimes loose stool. So you understand how the Agni can impact also your stool, which is very important for us in Ayurveda because depending on how you go to the bathroom, we kind of know what is going on in the beginning of the process, which is obvious, not because they are related, but sometimes in our culture, we kind of divorce the concepts as if your stool has nothing to do with your digestion. But in Ayurveda, everything is considered to be connected. There's another disease called Grahani, which is like a malabsorption, sometimes irritable bowel syndrome like patterns. So, diseases that are very common nowadays, like Crohn's disease, um, they create this like excess mucus, also the feeling of fatigue. Sometimes appetite becomes very unstable. And of course, like you go to the bathroom and your stool is unpredictable. It's going to be a different thing every time. And then there's atisar. Now, atisar is too much liquid, literally, which is diarrhea patterns. And then we also have vibhanda. Vibhanda is what we call constipation. So patients go to the bathroom, but it's too loose, or they don't really go. They go like after 2 days, or when they go, they feel they didn't release their bowels completely. They don't feel fully satisfied, or that lightness that we get when we go to the bathroom in a satisfying manner. It can create also skin inflammation patterns, metabolic issues, and it just goes downstream, no? It's because of in the beginning you're not assimilating your food properly, according to Ayurveda. How can you read then Agni in people? So if you are a therapist or if you're here and you're already like a doctor or a nurse or a nutritionist or something like that, what are you going to see when you're assessing Agni in your patients or in people that you know? First of all, you should ask about the appetite timing. Is the appetite steady? They feel hunger 8 o'clock in the morning and then 12 and then 5 every day, more or less at the same time, or it's complete chaos. Like the one day they will feel hunger at lunchtime, and one day they don't feel hunger at all, and they skip dinner and then they eat breakfast super early. It's like pure madness. Second, what is the quality of this hunger? Is it just like hunger, or it's like I want to eat? I usually give this example like when you're going out on a date with your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or whatever, and then you ask the person, what are you hungry for? What are you hungry for? And they say, "Oh, I'm hungry for pizza." What are you hungry for? I'm hungry for sushi. And I'm usually telling my students, there's no hunger for. Hunger for doesn't exist. Hunger for is desire for. You get hungry for food. Full stop. One of my gurus, he said that you know when the person is really hungry because you can lift like a little like stem of grass, even like a piece of grass, and they will salivate because they're like, that looks good, you know? Oh, they're hungry. They're really hungry. Hunger for doesn't exist. So if the person says, "Oh my God, I'm starving," that happens a lot in Brazil. Maybe in Canada it doesn't, but we are quite dramatic Latinos, no? So it's like I'm gonna die, and you're like, "Wait, did you have breakfast?" Yes, but it's like 11 a.m. How can you be starving? Like you're not starving. And the person's like, "I'm starving. I'm gonna die." You say, "Okay, okay, no problem. You're starving. You're gonna die. I have this like the salad." And they say, "No, no, I'm not hungry for salad." I'm like, oh, so you're not hungry for salad. Oh, the person, I wake up in the morning and I'm always starving, Matthew. Like, oh, my patients like to say that a lot, and they're never. People don't wake up hungry usually when they have like a balanced Agni. That's a good tip for you. They say, I'm starving in the morning. And then I tell them, would you eat like lentil soup in the morning? They say, ugh, lentil soup in the morning? No, that's not breakfast food. I'm not hungry for lentil soup. I'm like, then you're not hungry. Because if I put you like in a desert for 4 days and you're not eating anything for 4 days, and you wake up on the fifth day and I serve you a bowl of lentil soup, oh, you're gonna dig it. You're gonna love that lentil soup because you're hungry, because you're truly hungry. So one of my most important gurus, Dr. Srinivasa Madhyacharya, he used to always say this: understand, like a hungry person, they will salivate for any type of food. Maybe they don't prefer that food, but they will eat it if they're hungry. Then you have to ask about the post-meal feeling the person has. Lightness versus heaviness, sleepiness, burping. Especially in Ayurveda, we say when you burp after you eat, it should be clean. Burping is normal after you eat, but it should be like a clean burp. If you're burping and you're feeling like a weird taste, if it's acid or something, your Agni is a little weird. If you feel bloated, if you feel gassy, when and what kind of foods give you that? If they're like heavier foods, some people say, oh, I cannot have any dairy products, or I cannot have flour things because of gluten. In Ayurveda, we say it's because it's heavy. It's not because of gluten. It's because you cannot digest heavy things because your Agni is not good. Like if we prepare your Agni, you can digest anything. In India, it's very common for patients to come. I receive patients here in a clinic. I live in a state called Gujarat in a city called Jamnagar, so it's far. But there is a clinic that I partner with, and they are considered, they have like the prize of the best clinic in Gujarat, in the state where we are. And then patients come from all over the world to get treated here for like at least 21 days, panchakarma therapy, which is a very deep tissue therapy that we do. And then these people, they are like they their mind is blown because they're like, I cannot eat flour. I can't. Wheat is my deadly enemy, the biggest enemy of my life. And then after they go through the process, we serve them like a tortilla, like a chapati, like some kind of Indian bread with flour, and they eat it. And they are like, I haven't eaten flour in 10 years. I don't know why I'm digesting this now. It's a miracle. And it's not a miracle. It's because we adjusted their Agni. Like if you have good Agni, you can digest the classical text. They say you can digest even stones. Like I can feed you like bricks and you will be able to digest bricks. People nowadays, we can't, but like just so you can say, so you can know that you have this potential as a human. We're not that weak in a sense, no? We went through a lot as humans to survive, but now we're a little bit like kind of very careful with whatever we eat, no? So, how is the stool? How is the frequency? How easy it is? What is the form? Urgency? Is it full with mucus? I don't know if this makes you a little bit like, oh, but Matthew, stool. Do we have to talk about stool? We have to talk about stool. In Ayurveda, we are very proud of our stool. Sometimes you call people to show it to them. Oh my God, look at this. We're very proud of it. So become proud of it also. Your tongue, how is it? Is it coated? Is it dry? Is it red? Is it too big in your mouth so you get those signs of teeth like in the sides of your tongue? How is your energy curve? Is it stable? Does it crash? How is your sleep, especially late night? When you eat late night, you have this habit of having like late dinners. And let me bother you a little bit. If you eat after 6 p.m., that's a late night, probably. So we should not eat when we're close to going to sleep. At least like 3 hours before you sleep, you shouldn't eat anything. You probably won't digest it well because your body is trying to sleep. And when we sleep, we just turn the body kind of off. It's not going to be able to process food properly. And then stress. Like you eat in 10 minutes between one meeting and the other, and you just shove something on your face, and then you have to run to catch the Uber or whatever, you're like probably creating a problem for yourself. We should eat in a quiet environment. We should be focused on our food. We should have time after we eat to digest it. And I know this seems like a dream or a paradise, but most of you could do a little bit better on it. You don't have to be watching like a laptop with a cell phone, talking to somebody and rushing all at the same time. There's something to improve there, I'm pretty sure. And then there's some red flags, of course. Like you should refer to a doctor. You should like call an ambulance if the person has GI bleeding, like gastrointestinal bleeding, persistent vomiting, unexplained weight loss, severe anemia, persistent and severe pain, fever, dysphagia. All of this is not like, oh, I'm gonna give you some ginger tea. It's like you have to call a health professional. There's some treatment principles in Ayurveda and there's an order that we follow. I'm not going to go deep into this because I'm running out of time. But first thing that we do, first things first, is Nidana Parivarjana. We call it. Nidana is the cause of the problem. We have to do Parivarjana. We have to stop the cause of the problem. If the cause of your problem is that you eat every day at 11 p.m. and then you go to bed at 11:10, this is the cause. It's not because you're not eating the food for your dosha. It's because you're just eating at the wrong time. And then we have to fix it first. If you don't fix the cause, whatever you do is just symptomatic control. It's like taking a pill for your headache without looking at why you're having headaches in the first place. Then we do Langhana. Langhana means anything that will reduce the tissues of your body. So it will leave the body to wanting food, basically. Yeah, sometimes we call this fasting. uh, so you're trying to make the person a little bit lighter. You reduce the quantity of food they eat, or you reduce the frequency. They eat 5 times a day. Some people eat 6 times a day. Every 15 minutes, I have to eat something, otherwise my metabolic window will close down and I will die. It's that's not how we work. So sometimes we have to convince the person to like instead of 6 meals, maybe do four. Like, is that a lot? Like, can you do that? That's Langana. And Agni Dipana, we have to kindle the Agni. So we use herbs and we use specific diets. There's techniques to do this, like make the Agni stronger. And we have to do Amapachan. This thing that we didn't digest properly, we have to digest it. So we also have specific treatments and herbs and therapies for trying to get rid of this, because this is a problem in our bodies. Then all of this, we did all of it. It didn't work. We can do Shodhana. Shodhana is the purification techniques that we have in Ayurveda. They are usually well known as Panchakarma. Now, Panchakarma is Shodhana. We have 5 types of therapies. That's why it's called Panch. Panch means 5. Karma means therapies. But they are actually Shodhana Chikitsa. So we are purifying the body. It has to be done in a hospital. It has to be done with a professional that knows what they're doing. In India, only a Vaidya can do it. Only a doctor can do it. So you should not be able to do it at home with somebody that, like, you found online or something like that. Many things can go wrong when you're doing panchakarma, and we have to be like have specialized personnel to be able to deal with it. And then after all of this is done, we do Rasayana Chikitsa. Rasayana is the way that we have, like many techniques we have in Ayurveda, to nourish the tissues in a very deeply and like consistent way. So, but you have to do all the previous 5 steps, and then you can do effective Rasayana. Rasayana is also considered therapies for longevity. Sometimes they are called rejuvenation therapies because some people say that after you do this, you even look younger and you feel younger. It reminded me today of like I have one of these like smart scales in my home, and it tells me like how old I am. It's not true, but they do. I'm 42 and my scale says, "You're doing good. You're like 39." So my scale thinks I'm 39. And it's probably because of Rasayana Chikitsa, of these like Ayurvedic techniques that we use that they're supposed to nourish your body and keep your spirits young somehow. So there's some diet foundations that I want to share with you. They're like universal and public friendly in a way. Like you don't have to learn a bunch of Ayurveda and do some test or learn Sanskrit. Basically, eat at consistent times. Keep like 3 to 5 hours in between meals for most people. Stop at 75% full. The Japanese will say 80. And the Japanese have this sentence, they say harahachibu. Harahachibu means you should eat until you're 80% full, but you should leave like 20% left. In Ayurveda, we say that you should eat until your stomach is 3/4 full. So 25%. It's almost like the Japanese style. You should eat warm food that is cooked, simple, often easier than if you eat like salads, cold things, ice cream, a smoothie. These I have nothing against smoothies and salads, but they are just worse for your agni to digest. If you're having trouble with digestion, they don't go down so well. And I know we have this idea that salads are healthy food and smoothies are the greatest gift of the gods to humanity, but in Ayurveda we prefer to have like a hot soup or some like porridge than the cold shakes with protein, whatever the kids are doing nowadays. And the biggest meal is better taken when the digestion is at its stronger, which is usually between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I don't know if you guys do PM and AM in Canada. This is 14 hours for the not PM, AM people. Usually, what helps Agni is ginger. Like we love doing some ginger tea, cumin seeds. You can use this for tea also. Coriander, fennel, light soups, as I said, khichdi style bowls, which is like basically rice with lentils, warm stews, adequate hydration in between meals, and not excessive during. One very common myth in Brazil, at least, is that you should not drink with the meals, according to Ayurveda. I don't know why people say that, but it's not true. In Ayurveda, they say that you should, like, 1/4 of your meal should be liquid. Look at that. So you should eat 3/4 of your stomach, being 2/4 or half should be solid foods, and 1/4 should be liquid foods. The problem is that most people they already have like a soup or like whatever, some creamy thing that already has liquid inside. And so me saying that 1/4 could be liquids does not mean that you can have like a 500 ml diet Coke or whatever. Like that's you should never have any mLs of that anyway. So I don't know if in Canada also you guys ever supersize everything, but sometimes in the West we tend to drink excessively. So by Agni, you should eat actually. So the diet should follow your Agni, not follow your dosha. Don't eat for your Pitta or for your Kapha or for your Vata. Eat for your Agni. If your Agni is Manda, then you favor warm foods, light foods, more spicy, like with more masala, like we like it here in India. Also, eat less quantity. You can reduce heavy foods and fried foods and cold smoothies and late dinners. you can go to, like your go-to would be ginger teas, thin dal soups, steamed veg. If your Agni is Tikshna, it's sharp, then you want to cool it down. Then cooling and grounding, but not icy. We never do ice. We hate ice. So adequate calories, regular meals. You should reduce excess chili, alcohol, and coffee because they will also make your Agni even more agitated. And you don't skip the meals. Cook your grains. Coconut water, for instance, is amazing. It's cooling and heavy, which tells you that if you are whatever what if you are here in the Mandagini spectrum, you should be careful with the Tikshnagini stuff. In Vishamagni, irregular Agni, you should try to get some routine. Eat warm foods, moist foods, easy to digest. Reduce on grazing, like eating nuts. Oh, I'm just having like a date and then a power bar or whatever, like fasting to extremes or too much raw stuff like crackers and things that go crunchy, no? And your go-tos are soups and stews, warm breakfasts, sesame oil. You can do like a self-massage. We're trying to calm down our vata for you guys that study Ayurveda, doing abhyanga. Abhyanga is applying oil to your body and make it shiny, basically. It's not a massage, by the way. A lot of people think that abhyanga is Ayurvedic massage, but abhyanga is not a massage. The word abhyanga means literally make your body parts shiny. So that's what you want to do. If it's Sama Agni, the Agni is balanced, just keep up the good work. Maintain your rhythm, do the seasonal adjustments. You shouldn't eat the same in winter and in summer times, but don't overcomplicate things. Being a human is not so hard, actually. We've been doing this for millions of years. Just the Homo sapiens sapiens that we are is around 200 to 300,000 years old. So we kind of know what we're doing. We're not reinventing anything now. And if you want like a lifestyle that will protect your Agni beyond food, have a good sleep hygiene, do movement every day, like after eating, like a easy stroll for 10 minutes just to activate your digestion and make you sharp instead of like lying down, getting your teddy bear, your duvet and going to sleep. Reduce stress, like digestion is a state dependent system. It means that it will act better or worse depending on your state. If you're in a hurry, if you're scared, if you're stressed out of your mind, you will digest poorly. And get some seasonal awareness. Like if you're living through a cold and damp season, usually the Agni becomes weaker. Hot seasons might intensify Pitta, but sometimes Agni does not intensify together if it's very moist. Cold seasons, on the other hand, they make usually your Agni very strong. That's why we want to eat like more heavy fried foods on winter time. Like in Brazil, we think of Switzerland. Sometimes we think of like, dipping meat on like cheese or bread onto cheese and have a fondue, for instance. No, you don't have fondue if you're in Rio de Janeiro in the middle of the summer. Like it's very heavy fried foods. They don't go so well with what is the thing people are telling me about this thing in Montreal because I'm going to Montreal also to teach and they're saying I have to have a poutine, something like that. And they describe this thing, and I'm like, what? How the hell do you like? It's so many layers. But apparently, I will have to try this thing when I go to Montreal, and the god of Agni might help me. Let's see. And then I made a list of like some herbal support. This is educational only. Some common Ayurvedic choices for you, like, but look for a health professional. This is not supposed to replace a health advice. But I just gave you some ideas for mandagini, maybe black pepper, long pepper, fresh ginger. This cumin, coriander, fennel blend is usually very good. There is a plant called hing, asafoetida, which is super good for your digestion. For Tikshnagni, you can use like Yasti Madhu, like licorice, coriander, fennel. It helps to soothe the digestion also. For Vishamagni, maybe warm carminatives, routine, lubrication support, like I told before. And then just for the geeks, I put some classical formulations here, but if you don't geek out on Ayurvedic stuff, you can skip this. But like an example of Dipanapachana will be Hingvastakchurna or Chitrakadivati, for instance. These are the things we use here at the hospital all the time. If you want some gentle regulation of the GI tract, Triphala can be really well used. It's anulomana and it's also rasayana, so it nourishes your tissues. If you have more pitta or more acidic patterns, Avipatikarchurna is very much used in my department, like it's daily used. And then I put like a bridge between Ayurveda and modern. So in modern, we think about enzymes and acid and bile and microbiome and all of that. And in Ayurveda, we think about Agni strength and dosha dynamics and ama load and dhatu nourishment. But we're basically talking about the same things. So just to close up, I made like a little summary for you. Agni is a transformation power, not only in the stomach, but throughout the metabolism. There's 13 of them. I named them there. The doshas participate in digestion. So kapha first, pitta second, vata third. Most Agni treatments start with acquiring some rhythm, adding warmth, simplicity, mindful eating, and appropriate spices. You don't need, for the fourth time, to learn how to eat for vata. And when in doubt, just reduce the load, restore your routine, and then kindle your Agni, but gently. Don't go crazy with the shots and this and that. And now, to close up, I want to ask you, like, which Agni state best describes you right now? You feel more like slow Agni, more sharp, more irregular, or do you feel you're having like a balanced moment? And what is one habit from everything that we discussed that you think you can apply right now to most protect your Agni? So hopefully this was not just like me, blah, 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 and something that you can like, oh, I got something and I'm gonna use it. Like, what can you do this week? What can you do today or tomorrow to improve your digestion or to feel more aligned with your body? Just so you guys know, I'm gonna be in Canada, in Salt Spring, 23 to 26 April. This is all in Portuguese, but the courses are gonna be in English. And then I'm going to Montreal also, the 2nd and 3rd of May. If by any chance you're in Australia in August, I'm doing Australia in August also. And Brazil also from 6 to 12 November. I think there's still spots for Brazil, and I'm pretty sure there's spots for all of them now, even if it's a few spots. I call this program the Agni Protocol. So it's basically taking everything that we spoke today and applying it in your practice, but like eating properly, sleeping properly, doing movement. And then you hear me speak, and then we have satsang so you can ask questions and we can like take all of this knowledge and apply it to your life. So, okay. So 10 minutes after, I think I'm pretty good. So
You
I
did
will,
you
it
did
was
very well,
it was
Matthew.
okay. No, like time wise, I didn't want to delay so much, you
Yeah,
guys.
no, you did great. Thank you. It was an amazing presentation. And
Thank you so
I'm
much.
going to open up the floor, but I want people to put up their hand, please, to ask questions. And I need to change the screen here. And we can do this for maybe the next 10 or 15 minutes. This recording will be on the Ayurvedic Association of Canada YouTube channel. So, and we're giving a copy to Matthew also. But within the next week, it will be up on our channel for sure. And if you need more information about the Salt Spring retreat, or you can always get a hold of us also if you haven't got the other information. Okay, so just let me open this up. Okay, so I hope I have everybody on the screen. So if you do have a question, you can put up your hand, please, and we'll get your question answered. I mean, you were pretty thorough in what you did, Matthew. It was.
Thank you so much. Should I send this PDF to you guys or should I put it here in the chat and Zoom right now? Like, what is it? What is the best way? How do you guys usually do this?
Um, we don't usually get the PDF or the PowerPoint. So if you want to put it in the chat, you can so that people can have it.
I'll do this now then.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So you took a very complicated subject and made it, more simple for people so they can begin to understand kind of what's going on.
Hopefully they managed. Sometimes when my students have no questions is because they are so overwhelmed. It's like it's the Agni itself. It's like you, okay, enough food. Now let me digest this and I'll get back to you, you know?
Right.
So I can't, I'm not able to upload the file to the chat because of admin restrictions. So I will just send it to Orsi via WhatsApp and then
Yeah,
she
we'll
can
get it.
do her
Perfect.
thing.
Okay. So has anybody put up their hand? I don't see that. Okay, go ahead, Archie. Can you unmute yourself? Hold on. I have to unmute everybody, right?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Orshi. I am an Ayurveda practitioner, and in tandem with that, I am a hydrologist. And I have a question about something that I think is a major misconception out there, as in terms of do you feel and how do you feel that water needs digestion? And if so, how does that differ from solid matter digestion?
Water needs digestion as anything needs digestion. So it's the same process that we discussed of like, how do you turn that into you? The difference is that water, in most of its function in the body, it's more functional. It's less structural. So when I eat protein, the protein will have to build like a cell, like a muscle cell that holds my body together, or calcium, magnesium, whatever, they will make a bone, and that's structural in a way. So water is very functional. So it will go, it's like a vehicle, no? So it has to go inside my cells and then come out of my cells and then maybe leave my body. So water has this very beautiful relationship with the body, which is like very unattached in a way, because it will serve like a circulatory function, but then will leave through our skin or through the urine. We need it there, of course, otherwise we are unable to fulfill like all our functions, but it's less structural. So in a sense, you are less punished if you don't digest water so well in compared to food. Like water does not create so much ama itself. Let me see if this makes sense to most people. Like if you don't digest like a piece of broccoli, it's always broccoli, that broccoli itself remains undigested. Water itself, you will not necessarily transform it into some other substance, but it will serve a function in your body and then maybe continue its path.
Yeah.
So the problem that water usually has is because it can impair our Agni. So it's not the undigestion of the molecule itself, but the effect it has on the Agni that will dim the power of the Agni, and then Agni will not be able to digest the broccoli. So it's almost like water can affect negatively our digestive process or positively. So we have so many rules for water in Ayurveda. There is a book called Ashtanga Hridayam, which is like 1,500 years old, and it has 120 chapters. In the fifth chapter, they talk about liquids. It's called Dravya Dravya Vijnana, so the knowledge of liquids, and it starts with water. And then it says of like a I can we can go for an hour on this. I won't, but like
Yeah,
the,
I can go for hours and
yeah,
days and months.
it's
Thank you, but I
fascinating,
got the
no?
answer. Is there any way
Yeah,
you could share about that text, or is there anywhere where I could access
that's
that in
That's all
English?
yeah, that's all I do in my whole life, basically. Oh, in English, yeah, yeah, you can find Ashtanga Hridayam in English. This is a good
Oh, yeah, you
translation.
mean in, okay, there it in chapter 5, you say.
Yeah, chapter
Okay.
5, Sutrasthana, and most English translations are very accessible. So you can just get this one or the blue one. Usually people use
Okay.
this is my fave, but
Okay, thank
we
you.
We have a translation to Portuguese, and I read this and translate it to Portuguese. So if you decide to go that route and become fluent in Portuguese and come study with us, you'll be
Sure.
very welcome also,
Yeah,
Archie.
I'll do it just tomorrow. Can I have one other question? Thank you very much. Just quickly, how do you
Agora,
feel about frequent vomiting in children's case? Like, it's just way too frequently. I see it with my niece, and I'm wondering, how do you feel about that?
in which sense do you mean frequent
Just
vomiting?
she often vomits and otherwise very healthy, does a lot of sports, a lot of activity, good student, what blah blah blah. But I just feel that there's a constant thing with her where she's vomiting. Is there
We have to
something
check.
with the digestive? How does this connect?
Yeah, we have to check her case specifically, but like sometimes this is just her body being very smart. Like when we're very young, we're quite sensitive when we're still adapting, no? And we don't get all the bad habits that adults have. So if you're a child and you see somebody and they're weird, you're gonna point at them and go like, "You're weird." Right? Like you don't like take it in and you try to digest and you hold it inside and it becomes like something afterward. You just like spill it out. So with kids, sometimes you put something in their mouths, they swallow, they're like, I don't want this. So they're like, wow, they just put it out. It's like straightforward. Adults, a lot of the times, they're like, I can't because socially unacceptable. What does it mean? I hate to vomit, blah, blah, blah. And then you just push it inside, and then you're like, my body will have to deal with it. So sometimes it can just be her body being super intelligent about, like, I don't want nothing to do with this. Get this out of me. But maybe it can be chardi, like which is a disease that we have documented in Ayurveda, which can be from like an Agni problem. So we have to see her case specifically to see if there's treatment to be
Thank you.
done.
Yeah, I think she eats too much. She loves food. And I think also there's a lot of times she's told she eats too much. And I think that there's a psychological value there as well that might be in the equation. But thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And there is this misconception of ancient Greeks that they used to have vomitoriums, which is not true, but people think that they would eat and then vomit so they can eat more. So maybe like her previous life was like, in this buffets
Right. Yeah.
in Greece or something
Okay.
like that.
I'm on that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Check it out. You're welcome. You're
Mm.
welcome.
Thank you, Matthew. Someone else have a question? I saw someone with their hand up.
I think
I
Victor had
think,
his hand up, but then he chilled
oh,
on
there he
the
is. There's
hammock,
Victor. Yeah,
and I was
yes,
like,
there you go ahead.
cool.
I need to unmute
No,
you.
no, it's fine. I can press this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's very informative. Um, I really like the thing you point out in terms of the tendency online, everything better, better, more, 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 more. It have to be pushed to the limit and past the limit even better, more Andrew Tate. Huh? So it's like that was really a good focus on the balance there. I like it a lot, really. And also I lived in India 5 years and I can really hear you impacted the way you speak the Indian pronunciation there and the power you put into the words is very, yeah,
Oh,
congratulations. And thank you so much for the sharing here. Very, very grateful. So, gracias.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Oh,
Yeah.
this is my most American accent. Like you don't see like if you come to the hospital, I am speaking completely differently. So
Acha. Kush nahi. Yeah,
yes, if I'm speaking to my patients in the hospital, they will listen to a very different English.
that's perfect.
We can do
Yeah,
both. We can do both, or not, or neither.
yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Matthew, it's interesting that, I think that a lot of what I got, I'm a Vaidya also. A lot of what I got out of what you said was how unmindful people are about their body. They take everything from a book in the West that they've read about, right? Even whether it's water or food or, salad is good. And they seem to disconnect from their body in terms of any kind of understanding about whatever story the body is telling them, right? It's for me with my rogies, it's the first place I start, right? So can you
Yeah.
speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's not like a modern problem. Like we've been talking about this since the beginning of time. Like the original disease, according to Ayurveda, if you look at Charaka Samhita Sharirasthan, like the oldest book we have is like 2 to 3 thousand years. And he says the original disease is Prajnaparadha. Prajnaparadha is when the person doesn't have good contact with truth, with reality. And it's like I get confused, and it's so human to get confused, you know? Like I'm living here and I have a computer, and I think this computer is part of me, and then somebody touches my computer and like, that's my computer. And like possessiveness, and like, we just get very mixed with things. We look at things, we think they're ours, and then from ours to us, and then with relationships, with food, with nationality. I'm Brazilian, and then you start defending your country or your beliefs, your religion. So it's like humans, they do that a lot, and then we get lost in the path. So that's why if you look at like again, Ashtanga Hridayam, this book that is like 1,500 years old, he says there's three basic therapies for the mind. So the mind also gets sick, gets diseases, and there's three therapies. And he says, Dhi, Dhairya, Atma, Devijnana. The three therapies of the mind is first, Dhi, which means discernment. You have to be able to understand what's good for you and what's bad, what do you want and what you don't want. It's so crazy how we do things that we know we shouldn't do or that we don't want to do, and then we go and just do it. And then after we do this thing that we know we shouldn't do, then we get sick or we start suffering, which is the same in Ayurveda. And then we're like amazed. I don't know what happened. The second is dhairya. Dhairya means resiliency, courage somehow, like the ability to just undergo things that you know you need but maybe you won't want. You have to take a medicine. The medicine is bitter. You got to take it. It's going to be good for you. Like it's good. You should do it. Like I should go to the gym. I don't know. I don't love going to the gym. I know this is good for me. I should go. But like sometimes we're just like hostages of our pleasure. I'm just going to do whatever feels the most comfortable 100% of the time. And then the third, Atmadevijnana, which is basically knowledge of who you are and how we get confused in this path of like identification. In yoga, they call it the five kleshas, no? So this five enemies, sometimes we say that they're always kind of tripping us in our path. So I agree with you, but I suffer from the same problem. It's like
We
I'm
all do.
constantly, yeah, we all do, and that's why we need each other. That's why I always tell my students that uh, health is not an individual phenomena. Health is a collective phenomena. Like we are healthy together. If I am healthy, like I eat organic and I do yoga and I sleep perfectly, but my upstairs neighbor is suffering a lot, he makes my life hell also. That's why I can't live in a cave and isolate myself and go like, you know what? You guys just deal with your poutine and whatever you eat in Montreal, and I'm just gonna chill in my cave and meditate because I can't. Like, if everyone is sick, then I'm also sick. That's why I work in a hospital and I try to help a bunch of people. There is a lot of self-interest in it also. Like I want us to be happy because there's no way for individual happiness. I don't believe in individual happiness and health. It's a collective phenomenon. We are collective beings. So it's reminding ourselves also a little bit of like, I need you guys to remind me because I'm constantly mistaken. And you guys also need each other. So we're like, hold my hand, I'll hold your hand and remind me when I'm losing my mind. And then I will remind you also. And then we'll try to like go through this together. There shouldn't be maybe any gurus, and at least in Zoom.
And the earth needs to be healthy also. We've got to take care
Yeah,
of her.
for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
So we have time for one more question if somebody has a question because it's just about 11 o'clock. Do I see a hand up? Thought I saw a hand up before. There's some questions that I can't read in the chat room.
Maybe in the chat. I can translate it if you want.
Yeah, in a minute, Melody, you will be the last one to speak. Okay. Hold on, I'll unmute you.
Oh, I can do this.
Can
I can
you
help
do it?
out.
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank Maria for this beautiful invitation and deep gratitude to you, Matheus. It was an amazing session for your generosity and the clarity of the teaching and your enthusiasm. Um, During your session, you were talking about how the different prana are involved into the digestive process. And I'm curious that you didn't mention, like, is there an influence of, is it Upana Vayu? I think the one that,
Udana.
sorry, the Vayus, the one
Yep.
that moves things upwards. Because in my personal experience, I feel there might be an imbalance with Apana Vayu, and maybe even now, as you describe with, is it Triksha Agni?
Yeah, Tikshna.
So
Yeah.
if there's any counter
Yes.
effect, if we promote Upana Vayu, and if there's any practices for that, I don't know, with physical
So there's
techniques or like
Udana Vayu and Apana Vayu. They are like I did not mention Udana from all the five, but
Upana
yes,
Vayu.
the thing with Vayu, it's a beautiful research. There is a chapter in Charaka Samhita Chikitsasthana. It's more advanced, but since you're asking, you might be ready for the journey. And it's called Vata Vyadi Chikitsitam. It's just the treatment for diseases of Vata. And in this chapter, he goes very deep into what we call it Vata Gati, like the movements that Vata can make. And Vata is the only dosha that actually, like Pitta, we say Pitta is aggravated or Pitta is balanced or is diminished. Kapha is aggravated, is balanced or diminished. But Vata is the only dosha that can be aggravated, balanced, diminished, but it can also be out of its path, which is a very weird behavior because the other doshas, they don't do this. But Vata can be like in a normal quantity, so to speak, but it can be just going in the wrong direction. And what you're saying is very common. Like Apanavayu is the base one, the bottom one, let's say. If Apanavayu has a problem, it can block the path of the one that comes before it, and then it can impair its functioning, and then it can push it up, and this one pushes the other one to the other side, and the other pushes the other to the other side, and they just go crazy. They go bananas. So that's why a lot of the treatment for Vayu, for Vata, we call it Anulomana. It's just making the Vata get back into its natural direction. Sometimes it's not diminishing the Vata, but just like channeling it. So Vata has this beautiful, complex nature that we have to see how is it moving. Sometimes it's moving in the wrong direction, and you have to harmonize somehow its path. So what you're saying just totally checks. You just have to go a little bit deeper into the movement in your own body and maybe study Vata Vyadi Chikitsitam. You will be amazed and mind blown by it. Oh, do you want to say something else? Let me ask you to unmute if you want to call. No, you're
No,
here?
that's it. Thank you. That was very clear.
You're
Thank you
very
for
welcome.
expanding there.
That will end the session. It's 11 o'clock, but we need to have Matthew back again.
Let's do it. Yay.
I really like that idea. I'll connect with you on WhatsApp also. But
I'm always up for it.
For today, we are finished. And I'd like to thank you all for showing up, for Matthew, and for showing up for the Ayurvedic Association in Canada. We're a nonprofit. We're trying to spread the word of Ayurveda so that the average person understands what it is, not just people that are studying it. And I think that Ayurveda is going to make a huge difference in the world in the next 20 years. And so I'm very proud to be a part of it. So thank you again, Matthew, and thank you for everyone for showing up. And we'll meet again soon.
Thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys soon.